the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my Iron.
And you're joined for a special episode of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast.
That's right,
What is
man.
this about, Nick?
You got convenient. Like, look, if you watched last week's show, we wanted to match, so we wore the exact same thing again.
You wouldn't even know it.
You wouldn't even know.
I washed it, had it pressed.
That's right.
Got back down here.
By the way, if you want to talk about time travel, Myron, if you were a member over on our YouTube channel, you probably could have seen these episodes damn near back to back. Wink, wink. At youtube.com/C/Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. By the way, our handle, Myron, if you were a betting man, what would you say our handle is on YouTube?
Tapped Out Pod.
That is correct. At Tapped Out Pod. It is the same as every form of social media. You check us out over there. Make sure you, liking the page, subscribing, turn your notifications on. And if you're so inclined, become a member because, like I said, you would have gotten last week's and this week's shows pretty much back to back because those things got recorded for a special reason. And by the way, look, we're going to work on something for WrestleCade. Because if you're listening to this, ready for some time travel mind-blowing, Myron? If you're listening to this as not a paid member and a regular subscriber, the day you're listening to this, it'd be Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and in 2 days, we will be packing up and heading down the road to WrestleCade.
Oh, my ass is going to be done packed up because I am dying to get up there. Jesus Christ. I have already asked off for vacation for next year to go.
There you go, brother.
This is, to me, this is my Christmas, my Thanksgiving, my birthday. Because once you got to realize, folks, as you age, and you get your kids, and those are holidays for the kids and the women in your life. Mm-hmm. The men, we just have to pay for it all, unfortunately. But WrestleCade is our holiday.
That is our holiday for sure. So again, this is obviously the week of Thanksgiving. We thank you. By the way, if you're a paid member and you're listening to this, have a good Thanksgiving in a week or so. We're going to have 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys. Guys, thank you so much for being paid members. Because,
correct.
Yeah,
all the paid members are going to catch this early. It's one of the really big perks of, being that. But, Myron, listen, when all this thing about being paid and having your perks, there's something else that the people can pay for and they get a lot of perks out of.
What's that?
AG1 from Athletic Greens. Look,
yes,
if you want to consolidate, you want to feel better, get your energy up, and you want to, like I said, just cut down. I mean, who in the world wants to take like a handful of supplements when you can get it all right there with our friends at the Athletic Greens?
You're going to need a smaller cabinet because now you can take all those supplements you're taking or not taking and replace them with this. AG1 by Athletic Greens brings 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens together in one place. It might just be the most comprehensive and convenient nutritional regimen on the planet. Immunity supporting, recovery enhancing, digestion improving, energy lifting. Made to the strictest quality standards. Made in New Zealand. Made for just about everybody.
That's right, man. Support our sponsors, man. Check them out over at athleticgreens.com/emerging. That is /emerging.
Do they make dick pills?
No, we don't do any of those.
Why don't we have a dick pill sponsor? It's like us and Jim Cornette are the only people left in wrestling podcasting that don't have a dick pill sponsor.
Because I don't really need them yet. There we go.
Yeah. The cocksmith.
But anyways, let's.
Well, your old buddy Myron probably could use some.
There you go. We'll work on that next. Blue Chew. We'll
I don't want to chew up. I don't want to chew them up. I'll swallow the pill.
Okay.
Okay
do your thing. I mean, you like to swallow. It's okay. Well,
this is the most horribly edited episode we're ever going to do, but it's our special episode, and what we're going to call it, Nick?
Listen, let's book Mania. That's what we'll call it. Let's book Mania. Look, I get it, guys. We're at Thanksgiving. We got a ways to go down the road. We understand there. We're going to help you get there as best we can. That's our mission here. But we hope you enjoy this. We're going to go, like, again, let's book Mania. I sat down and jotted out a card that I think, hey, there was, look, I had some parameters. It is 2 nights. That is true.
Nice.
Things I think could happen, things that I would like to see happen. It's a blend. Like, I'm not saying this is the card they're going to give you. I'm not meltering it up and saying this is the card. And then, when it doesn't happen, like, well, plans change. No, I'm telling you, like, this is just fantasy booking 101. We all love to do it. And then Myron's going to critique me and pick my card apart.
Well, the thing is, I've looked at his card, folks, and I would say 75% of what's on this card will happen when it's time. It'll come down to it, and when it comes to Mania, most of what's on the card is totally plausible. But where would you start, Nick? Night 1. Where would you start?
Well, so night 1, I'm going to start with the match that I think, look, it's going to take a lot to get there. And when I mean a lot to get there, health-wise, Randy Orton versus Matt Riddle. I think when Orton comes back, if and when Orton comes back, we get there pretty quickly.
I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. They are so good together.
I think it's run its course, Myron, and I think me personally, Randy probably prefers to be heel. So, and I just think it's time for him to go back. That's just my take.
I think this has been the coolest run Randy's had in a long time, being babyface, because he's not a babyface traditionally.
Correct.
I've enjoyed this run. I don't want to see this, but I do believe it's probably going to happen.
Could be, because, I mean, listen, everybody had said that's where they were heading anyway. Before he got injured, we kind of thought that, Plus, hey, look, if you want to get Matt Riddle over, how about a win over Randy Orton at WrestleMania? It wouldn't hurt.
Plausible.
Yeah.
Next match.
I'm going to jump out of order just to completely mess with you. Look, some matches on this card are like, I was just trying to figure out how do you get certain guys on the card. I think at some point, the problem is now Seth Rollins is clearly babyface. At this point, it looks like. But I had AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. I don't think that one's going to happen, but I'm literally just sitting here going like, I got to book them both. It'd be a great match. Because, by the way, I think you got to have like the great match on every, like one on each night. And I think
I agree. The Shield. The Shield, the 2 remaining members in WWE, Rollins and Roman, have to figure highly on this card, in my opinion. I don't know if I can't tell what Seth is doing now. Okay, I don't know exactly what he is, but there was a lot of interaction between them, the Judgment Day and the OC and Seth Rollins on SmackDown, so...
I think clearly heel Bobby Lashley is going to, chase babyface Seth Rollins at this point for the U.S. title is what it looks like. Because, look, he can go heel and, put the Hurt Business back together because that's what I've kind of heard he's trying to do.
I'd love that.
Rollins. I don't know. We'll see. But, I will. This is probably the match on my card that is the most least likely, least likely to happen. Is the one I literally was trying to figure out how do we get those 2 guys on the card, and that's it. That was my match.
How about getting a couple of women on the card, Nick?
Yep.
Where are we going next?
Listen, I know everybody's going to roll their eyes. She's the greatest women's wrestler of all time, in my opinion, and her name is Charlotte Flair.
I agree.
She'll be back by then. I think, and I think she's the one to take on Bianca. Yeah, I would run with Bianca as champion all the way until Mania.
Oh, as long as I could do it. It's a popular thing, sells merch, kids love it. Bianca is what Bayley was when Bayley was a face.
Right.
She's a good,
she's the good role model.
Good
she's the good example. She's a great babyface champion. So I would run with her all the way. And by the way, even when Charlotte comes back, if Charlotte's at the Rumble, like you still got like a, you know what I'm saying? Like you've got time to work that story. But I 100% would run with the Charlotte and Bianca. because I just think those two could tear the house down and have a spectacular match. They're both amazing athletes.
Yes.
So that's, and so when you look, we talk about like if the AJ, here's the funny thing, if the AJ Rollins match weren't going to happen, and again, I think it's the least likely of all, how wild is it that I'm telling you the other, my vote for the best wrestling match on the card, it's a women's match. It's Charlotte and Bianca. That's your great match for the night on night one, in my opinion. So, I'm
actually going to disagree with you on that because I'm looking at your booking sheet. I think your tag team match will be the best match of the night.
I don't know. That one's a tough one. This is all based on a lot of in between. Like, you've got to change a lot of things. But we had heard this thing was going to happen, but now, so like we had heard eventually. Obviously, we get it. Sammy at some point has to be kicked out, booted out, turned on, whatever, how they do it, from the bloodline. And I think his buddy Kevin Owens is probably his saving grace. That's going to become who comes to his aid, become his defense, become his partner. And I think that's a spectacular feud if you put them versus the Usos.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now again,
you got story and you got talent. I think that's what makes a perfect wrestling match.
And I think you start setting the table because we've heard, obviously, Bloodline looks like they're going to be key pieces to the War Games. I think Kevin Owens is kind of maybe potentially going to be involved. If all of those things come to fruition, I think you can start setting the table. You got a long time to get there, but I still think that, I think it's a good place. Although we did jokingly on last week's episode, we said, wouldn't it be cool if Sami Zayn was the guy to knock off Roman Reigns and take one of his titles? I mean, it'd be fun, it'd be unexpected, and it'd be fun.
Yeah. It would definitely be fun. Logan Paul faced Roman at Crown Jewel. Do you think he'll pay any effect into WrestleMania, Nick?
This is kind of the one that's going to be an interesting twist. Can we get there? I 100% think we can get there, and I think we can get there in a fun way. We've all heard the rumors that Steve Austin had he had a great time with his match at 38 versus Kevin Owens. He feels great. He's like, hey, I can do this. I think I can maybe do this like one match a year, maybe two. Maybe he's the new Undertaker, right? Where he's getting like a match or two max a year. Listen, you want to talk about, this is going to sidebar. I'm going to come back to this match. Can you imagine the Brinks truck that the Saudis back up for Crown Jewel? If they could get Austin over there in a match against anybody.
Yokozuna.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because they wanted Yokozuna. I think the Saudis won't pop. They don't have to understand what's going on in wrestling right now. They've just got a ton of money, and they're willing to lay it out for something spectacular. And Stone Cold Steve Austin would be something spectacular.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely think I would wager to say he makes a Crown Jewel appearance before he makes another Mania appearance.
I don't know. Because, look, he lives right there near that Hollywood area. Be a great... sorry, got a text there. I think it'd be a great opportunity. Like, listen, we talk about 39, right? It's in Hollywood. It's going to be a massive. By the way, I'm booking that other match that I had him in for either the following year or at Crown Jewel, and I'll explain why in a minute. But where we were going with all of this is Austin on his podcast, Logan Paul on his podcast. He has Stone Cold as a guest on. Just like something look, they used it. That's how they launched the Roman match. Roman was on there. Logan Paul makes the comment after Roman's had left. And that's essentially kind of how we started it. The same tools are used, by the way, because he's got Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast. And the next thing you know, what? Logan Paul and Stone Cold Steve Austin at a WrestleMania.
Plausible now. You're getting me there. You're getting me closer.
Listen, I had him in a different match, by the way. I did have I'll go ahead and tell you, right? Because the other one was I had him as Steve Austin versus John Cena in a generation, a match that we thought we were never going to get. Here's the funny thing. I think it's the more realistic of the two options.
Cena and Austin.
I do. I think that one's I think it's a more likely option, but it's not the one I would book. I would book Logan Paul and Steve Austin.
Well, the thing is, you can't bring Logan Paul back for a throwaway match. We've seen what Logan Paul can do for your exposure. 45 million. And by the time you see this, it's probably going to be over 50, 55 million views on that video he did at Crown Jewel. You got to put him in something big. You can't have him take on Braun Strowman. Not Braun Strowman. Who's the other guy I don't like? Well, I mean, I like Strowman, but there's other people on the roster. You can't just throw it away. It's got to be important. Happy Corbin. Okay, you can't put him in a match with Happy Corbin. You have to put him in something big, or you're wasting that pop he's going to give you. So,
well, here's the thing. I think if you really want me to, this is going to sound like as non-committal as I could possibly get. I think those three components of that puzzle are all intertwined. I could see Logan Paul versus John Cena, Logan Paul versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and John Cena versus Steve Austin. I could see any.
What would you want to see, though? What is the match you want to see?
I'm booking Logan Paul and Steve Austin because I think, and this is me personally, you will take the media influence of Logan Paul and just the pop culture wrestling status of Steve Austin and slam them, all together. I know some people would argue that John Cena is probably the bigger, you know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be.
Well, we'll get to Cena
bigger.
later.
But yeah, he's not going
Cena,
away.
No, you've got. I'm really torn up on this one. Because I had this storyline booked for the match that's going to be on night 2 in my head, but Logan Paul is such a commodity, Nick. He's a very valued commodity. And by then they might have Jake in there, and is Jake going to be done with his boxing by the time for Mania?
I don't think so, because I think he's wrestling. I apologize. This just broke. I think he's fighting Andrew Tate soon. I'd have to get the dates, and I haven't. There was no research. I didn't know that was getting dropped, so I have no idea. But I know. Okay. I think he's fighting Andrew Tate next. I think that's who he's fighting next.
But
I even know that? I have no idea.
You're an insider. You're an influencer. So, Nick, you had a radical concept for both nights of WrestleMania.
I did. So making sure we got everything. Okay, so by the way, if it was possible, how about Jake and Logan Paul versus Steve Austin and John Cena in a tag match? There you go. Anyway, different argument. No, actually, I would completely blow it up. Never mind, because then I would have had Sami Zayn wrestle Stone Cold, but that's a whole different path of it. Yeah. So
fantasy booking.
The path that you're talking about is, listen, they have struggled, and I mean mightily, because I think you still at some point, you've got to split these world titles up. Look, I don't like it, by the way. I like them being unified. You know that. But I hate that there's two belts.
Then it should be one belt if they're unified.
It should be one belt, and that's it. There's whatever. Me personally, it should be the WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship. If that's what you're going to call it. Make one belt, boom, you're done. That's just my take. But if you're going to split them up, which I'm against, but if you're gonna, I say Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble. He was a Raw superstar, because they supposedly they're going to go back to trying to split everything again at some point. We'll see. Cody Rhodes was a Raw superstar. I think they tell him, you're going to be able to challenge, but you're going to be able to challenge for one title. And he challenges for the WWE Championship, because in his first promo in WWE, it all stemmed. He wanted to get the title that eluded his father, the WWE Championship, WWF Championship, WWF Championship. So me personally, I think if he had to pick, I think, and it works by the way, since he was a Raw, wrestler, that the WWE title is the one that he goes after.
I like the idea, but I don't know if it's just your fundamental love of Dusty Rhodes coming through when you're booking this,
Sure
or
it is.
it's okay. Well, it's fantasy booking. I think Cody probably would be better with Styles or Rollins, but you've got a good point here. Separate the belts in a special way, and that you've got a storyline that books it. You've already established things. Okay, makes sense. So you've put on what would probably be one of the greatest nights of WrestleMania ever. But then you've got to do a second night.
Yeah, so then we got to do a
You
second
got
match.
6 matches first night. You're going to go with
Yeah.
7 matches for the second night.
Now, listen, we're guilty as charged of night 2. You got to get everybody, as many people as you can on there, by the way.
Yeah.
Listen, if you wanted to be a real fundamental crazy guy, on night 1, Myron, I would add like a Money in the Bank match. Because I want to kill the Money in the Bank ladder, like the pay-per-view. So if it were me, I would throw something like
Hell
that
in a Cell, Triple H, killing Hell in a Cell. You can have a Hell in a Cell at Mania now.
Whenever you needed it.
Exactly.
So,
whenever it fits the storyline.
Or bring back, they'll do the Andre Battle Royal, and you just throw everybody on there that didn't get on the card. There you go. So that's kind of how they usually do.
Well, who's the women's Battle Royal now? Who?
Snickers. I don't know. And that's what they did. They used Snickers.
No, Snickers made a fuss about something that was happened.
It. Because they didn't want to be a sponsor. Anyway, let's move to night 2. We're going to throw some matches on. I still think they're great matches, by the way. I just say that, listen, we're going to start out with Drew McIntyre versus Gunther for the Intercontinental. Gunther's having a hell of a run, man.
Slobber knocker is how I would describe that. Yes.
Whoever wins
I'd pay to see that
World Cup thing, they're going to end up, having to fight him. And yes, I did say fight him. I didn't say wrestle him. They're going to end up having to fight him for the Intercontinental Championship. I still say it's, I would let Gunther ride this IC run. Like how long I put champions. Like I keep them like champions forever, it feels like. But Drew McIntyre, I think needs to get back in a title mix of some kind. But I don't know. See, he just lost, at Clash of the Castle. So I say it's Intercontinental since, or US, one of the other. But I would say I say draft him over to SmackDown or something and make it the IC title. I think he'd be a great Intercontinental champion, by the way.
Not fair enough. That's very reasonable.
So,
you like to see Intercontinental champions be from other countries. It's kind of a,
I think it's
very
a plus.
unique thing.
I'm not saying, it's just always been a plus. I mean, like that's why I'm so, such a fan of Gunther being the Intercontinental champion. Maybe that's it.
We also seeing Gunther slap people in the chest and their skin like out where he hits them.
Yeah.
And the sound, I mean, he's probably got the best chop there is right now in wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
But you're going to put 2 women's matches on for night 2.
Yeah, and so we have 2 for a reason. One, obviously we'll get to in a minute, but I think the women's tag titles, I'm trying to also like things like we felt like, because I know some years like all of the titles don't get defended on which to me just makes no sense. Now, I'm not talking about NXT titles or anything like that, but I like the women's tag titles deserves to be defended on, on Mania. So, Damage Control versus Sasha and Naomi. I'm under the assumption these 2 will be back by now. Here's the funny part. I'm going to blow some people's minds. You're probably under the assumption of like, well, Nick thinks Damage Control's, no, actually, I think Naomi and Sasha have beaten them by this point. I think they're the champions going into Mania.
Oh.
I think Damage Control is like literally the one that's trying to get them back. Now, I'm being very vague with Damage Control for a purpose. I'm not saying Bayley's not one of the participants in this match. Because if you probably noticed when I put Charlotte versus Bianca night 1, Bayley's a Raw superstar. I don't think she's involved in that. Now, you could do the triple threat. I just think it gets clustered and clunky. So I like just straight up one-on-one title defenses. So for me personally, I would say Bayley might be involved as one of the participants in the tag match. by this point.
Freebird rule type thing.
That, or maybe there's a falling out, or that it shifts around, or some things like that. Who knows? But I just Sasha, Naomi, Damage Control, women's tag titles. I just like that mix of those two teams.
You didn't book a single triple threat match for this card either night.
And listen, we get it. There'll be one or two or three. It happens. I just try not to, because I try to go out of my way not to have that happen.
Well, fair enough. You don't like it. It's your card.
Basically. Yeah.
So,
all right. So here's the next one, Myron. We got a long, long way to get here. This is Nick's. I gotta figure out a place for these two people, or teams for that matter. I'm literally throwing it Judgment Day versus Wyatt 6. Whether it's Finn versus Bray, Damian Priest versus Bray. Look, it won't be Dominic, or because my thing is I think it's more faction. Because look, at this point, because we are talking Mania here, I get it, folks. A lot of people are starting to grumble that it's taken a really long time for this Bray Wyatt story to go somewhere. I like it. I like that they're taking. Look, I think a little progression would be helpful. I agree, but let's not be impatient, right?
So we got a little taste with LA Knight on the show, or Max Dupree, or whatever we're calling him. I don't remember. On SmackDown, you got a little taste of what Wyatt's going to do. Do you see a small lower card story with him and Max Dupree until he can get established?
I think it's probably his first match.
Okay.
I think that it might be one of the first, but it's also going to be a reveal, I think. I think that it'll feed into the reveal of the next phase of the whole Bray Wyatt,
Well,
saga.
He's 6 people. Who's going to be the 6th?
I
mean, that's...
Listen, I'm not going to address it right now, but the news you told me in between recordings, I don't know that it's 6 people. I still come back to, could it be... 6 personalities of Bray, or could it be 3 of Bray, and then it could be, look, because let's just say hypothetically, we know he wants to bring in Bo Dallas, he wants to bring in Eric Rowan. I mean, Alexa Bliss, they keep running the little things behind her. So could it be her? Could it be Liv? I just think if you start involving other members, and one of them is a female, it's a natural progression that they feed into a feud with Judgment Day of some kind, right? I mean, this is logical at this point.
Well, you're going to have to define heels and faces, or is Wyatt's faction going to be one of those tweener factions? You got to get all that established.
Faces, yeah. I just think they are.
Okay, well, he seems a lot more normal this time back than he did last time. So I'm looking forward to see how it's booked. I'm interested. WWE's got me watching, and that's the biggest thing they can do. They can draw the eyes of the world's most callous wrestling fan, me, to their product with good booking, and it's been booked well. I don't know if your card's booked well. Who's next?
Well, no, I just wanted to go into that again. I mean, because I think that's your faction match.
Yeah,
and it's multiple people. It's 4 people on each side, and I just think that's where I would go with it. But there's a lot. Trust me, this is one of the ones that there's a lot of stuff in between. I am absolutely going to skip the next match and go to, I think,
save it.
Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. I think Becky should be back by then, and I think her return, because she was on Raw, correct? This is bad. My brain's
I can't keep up with who's on what show, Nick.
But I think she's the one that should probably, because look, it's going to be tough for anybody to beat Ronda, right?
They've had some great matches together as part of triple threats. They had that triple threat where they main evented Mania. Mm-hmm. They have a history, and I think Becky is seen as a legitimate badass. She's seen as someone who can bloody your nose and that kind of thing. So I think this would be a very good and very easy to get to match.
I think it might be my problem is it was so easy to get to this match. Once Becky returns, this, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's a piece of cake. So
okay.
Then I'm gonna jump to Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. I know a lot of people eye roll this, but we've heard they want their third match. Look, if it's not Survivor Series, like the way Crown Jewel ended, I completely think it was setting the table for something like Mania. That they have their blow-off match at WrestleMania. It's got to be either, to me, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, or WrestleMania. Those two don't wrestle on, and because, by the way, this is really, we addressed this, I think, last week on our show. Well, 2-3 weeks ago at this point. Sorry. It's the whole recording.
I'm going to have to get a calendar if we're going to keep doing stuff like this.
Yeah. So, but we addressed, like, people don't want to hear, like, how big and important Crown Jewel is in the WWE scheme of things. When we talked about how they've made more money off of Saudi shows than they have the entire gates of the 38 prior WrestleManias.
Yeah.
That's pretty, I mean, it's actually it was double almost. So that's.
And see, those are paid shows. It don't matter if nobody shows up for them at all.
Those
you don't have to
people are
wait
showing
on
up.
ticket sales. Yeah, but the thing is, you don't have to wait on ticket sales. The shows are already paid
Right.
for.
It's like, boom, you're getting your $50 million. It's coming. Sorry, it's coming. All right. Anyway, so the point of that was Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley's a big deal. So that's why I'm saying, if it's not at Survivor Series, if it's not at Royal Rumble, then in my opinion, it's got to be Mania. It's the third and final match. It's the the rubber match, the culmination of their feud, and we get something, And what we get, I don't know. I know what I'd like. I'd love to see Bobby Lashley whoop his ass and finally be put over, strong on him. And by the way, if the prediction of the Hurt Business being put back together is completed by then, I think you're there.
But Brock wouldn't have any allies.
That's why he loses.
Outside of the run with Heyman, he's never had any allies.
No.
Brock's never had any friends. And that will be interesting to see how that plays out and develops.
I agree.
I'd love to see a bit when will R-Truth be back by Mania? 6 months.
No.
Oh, I'm booking right now. Hang on just a second. No, he won't be back. But the thing is, I'd love to see a Brock Lesnar and R-Truth bit. I think that would be probably one of the greatest things ever.
Could be good as a partner for him for sure.
Oh yeah, I think that's got to be the greatest run of all time.
Yeah.
The tag team of Brock Lesnar and R-Truth.
Tag team champions.
Look, folks,
baby.
if this is my opinions, these are what I like.
Right.
You don't have to like it or agree with it.
Now I'm gonna backpedal up to the match that I hopped over. Look, we talked about it when we talked about Logan Paul and Austin on night one. The kink in it is we were trying to figure, okay, if John Cena comes back, we've heard the rumors he'll be back and he's going to wrestle at this year's Mania as well. We got to get the theory match that we thought we were going to get, right? Because they've already teased it with the whole like unsuccessful Money in the Bank cash in. Welcome
He's in
to
the club.
Welcome to the club by Baron Corbin. We're led by John Cena.
Yes.
I think it writes itself. That's how I ended up where I was at, by the way, with night one with Austin Logan Paul. That's why the Cena equation was pulled out, was because I already, in my brain, I'm thinking you got to give me Theory versus Cena.
Look at him, okay? Look at Rap John Cena. What was he called when he first came out?
Doctor of Thuggin'.
When he was in Ohio Valley.
Oh, Prototype.
The Prototype. Look at Austin Theory. Okay, you could have basically put the head on either body at the time. I would wager they think he's probably the next Cena. They've just got to build him.
Mm-hmm.
So how better to build him as the next Cena by giving him a Cena match at Mania?
People laugh. I say beat him. I mean, literally put Theory over. Have Theory beat Cena at Mania, because nobody would think it was going to happen.
No, not at all.
And you're a made man. If you can beat Cena at Mania, you're a made man. That's going to buy you a lot of stock for sure.
So was his cash in failing better for him than his cash in succeeding.
Dude, I said it a couple of weeks ago. I 100% think so. I think, look, he wasn't going to successfully cash in on Roman Reigns. So I think you make a story of it, like Baron Corbin making a tweet about it. Like, it becomes a story that he was. Think about it. You not only did you not cash in or not successfully cash in, you didn't even do it for the world title. You did it for the U.S. title. There's a story there. There's something behind it. That there's something you can almost make fun of him. You know, look, I can see the promo in my head already where Cena's saying something to that effect. Dude, don't say you're in the club with me. I unsuccessfully didn't cash in, but at least I did it against the world champion.
Bingo.
You know, you were dumb enough to do it against the guy that wasn't even the world champion.
So you've got heat automatically.
Yeah. But
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think I just want Theory to have that moment. And I think that moment alone would make up for this whole he's being buried and he's being look, you put him over against Cena at Mania, that shit will go away.
You know what's going to have to change, though, in my opinion? He's going to have to get a lot better on the mic if he's going to get in the ring with Cena and like stand and talk on the mic, because that's a big test.
Cena
But
might chew
people who are, but who's good on the mic? That could be back for night 2.
Yeah, so and here's the thing, because everybody's already like, well, who do you got, Nick? You've already booked Roman versus Cody for on night 1. Who's coming back? Who could main event night 2? And you ready for this, folks? It's still Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I still say you give me that match.
You got to have that match. The whole Cody thing is not as important to me as getting this match. This match is the match. This match, there's going to be so much hype coming into all of this. Can Roman take on 2 people each night? The Rock. When's The Rock's next movie coming out? I'm sure there'll be something around WrestleMania if he comes back.
I can't remember what his next flick coming out. But here's the thing. If
I
Rock is there,
Rock
look, we've heard way too much about it. I'm not saying it's a failure if he's not there, because there's way too many moving parts of why Rock wouldn't be there or couldn't be there. But at this point, I do believe fans are going to be disappointed if we do not get Roman versus Rock. And here's the thing. Why am I booking Rock Roman? And by the way, you damn right I'm putting the Universal title on the line. I'm making Roman Reigns defend both belts 2 nights consecutively against 2 different opponents. He's the head of the table. Don't piss and moan about it.
Nope.
This is what you got to do.
Paul Heyman's the one that needs to piss and moan about it, not Roman.
That is correct.
Heyman needs to complain about it. Roman needs to stand up. Acknowledge me. I'm the head of the table. Yeah. I have to do this.
Now, do you want?
And he doesn't lose to Rock.
Huh?
He doesn't lose to Rock.
Correct. Night 1, I think he loses to Cody. You put the WWE title on Cody. You know why? Because Roman was overlooking him to get to night 2. They always talk about the number 1 team in the nation comes in and gets beat by a team they overlooked because they're looking at the team they play next week. Roman's got to do it the next night against the most electrifying man at sports entertainment and all of entertainment at this point.
And also, it makes up for his loss on night 1 by putting him over the true head of the table.
That's where the story kind of writes itself. Yeah, he has a bitch and a complaint about why he lost on night 1, and he's made whole on night 2 when he defeats The Rock on night 2 for the Universal. So he's still Universal Champion. Cody's taken one of the titles off of him, and Roman comes out whole with a legitimate gripe about why he lost on night 1.
That's probably the most convincing match on either card you book, Nick.
I agree.
That match happening.
By the way, Nick books cards for the top. Most cards are 1 or 2 match cards, 3 matches at the most.
You're right. When you look at it, when you look at it most of the time, that's 100% correct. I got to give you that. I think I gave you a 75% accuracy rate on the rest of the
50 at
card,
best.
I'm gonna give you 100 on this one. This is what throws the rate off. Okay, this is going to happen. We need to see this. This will be bigger than anything else, unless they're going to save it for 40.
You know what my argument was? Remember me teasing earlier? Give me Austin and Cena at 40. Because that's a big, massive anniversary show. Give me Stone Cold Steve Austin versus John Cena, the match we thought we would never get, and we get it way after we ever thought we would get it. So at WrestleMania 40, booyah, we get Austin versus Cena if the two guys can still go, which I think they'll be fine if they're only doing like one match a year. Plus, by the way, it's going to be total Rock Hogan in the sense of they ain't going to have to do shit and the crowd's going to react.
No. You're 100% right.
So I always tell you I booked the 3 matches. Like, if there are other matches on the card, 100%. Give me night 1. It might not be a hot popular take. I think you're headlined by Charlotte, Bianca, Logan Paul versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Night 2, I would argue your headline. You might have 4 that night. John Cena versus Austin Theory, Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, and then Roman Reigns versus The Rock for the Universal Championship. By the way, that's your 3 headliners for the two consecutive nights, in my opinion.
It's hard to argue with your logic. I can't. On most of that, I can't argue with you. The thing I'm really looking forward to most is the whole Uso Sami Zayn split.
Yeah.
That might happen sooner at Elimination Chamber. Well, not Elimination Chamber, Survivor Series, War Games. So,
yeah, we'll see.
So this is going to be the show people get for Thanksgiving, and then I will ask you to come see us at WrestleCade. We're not going to have a booth or anything. We're going to be walking around. If you love the show, say hello. Come up and shake our hands. We love hearing from listeners. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about it, Myron. But hey, I just want to, like you brought it up. This show, it does drop on Thanksgiving week, the week of Thanksgiving. But if they were a member over on our YouTube channel, a paid member behind the paywall, you'd have got this thing like a week in advance because like we're going to go ahead and drop it. And for the paid members, on youtube.com/C/Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast, or just do the @TappedOutPod or search for Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. But listen, wait, without fail though, let's remind you, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, iHeartMedia, Spotify, all the podcasts, make sure you're giving us, the subscribing there, 5-star rating and review if you're so inclined. We would greatly appreciate that. Because look, not everybody's a video. We got it. We have the face for radio. We understand. Myron's throwing his hands up, so I'm going to ask what you got.
I'm verifying this to make sure it's not a hoax real quick.
Okay.
I'm checking the WrestleCade website. Somebody posted something that's on my bucket list.
While he's double checking, I'll let him keep looking. Yes, he brought up WrestleCade. This is the week. This is Thanksgiving week. We will be heading up the road. We jump in on the car on Friday morning every year. Shoot up to WrestleCade. Some of the most fun. Look, I tell you, some of the people were always excited. I'm super excited about seeing Rafe, Dave, David, Gillespie, on and on and on. Dennis, I hadn't forgot you. We're going to see Reggie there, I'm sure. Hoop. I'm sorry, I'm trying to react because Myron's got me. Hoop, Jay-Z, all you guys. It's always, look, man, it's WrestleCade. It's all about fellowship and hanging out with the boys, having a great time. More than anything, that's what it is. Because that's what, look, wrestling in general should be bringing us together and not driving us apart. That's what I love about WrestleCade.
Exactly. WrestleCade is all about fellowship. WrestleCade is about Thanksgiving. WrestleCade is about everything. And they have not posted this, but somebody posted a picture that Tony Anthony will be at WrestleCade.
Dirty white boy.
Tony Anthony is important to me because I have met and talked to Dr. Tom. I have met and talked and with Ron Fuller. I met Bob the Bullet Armstrong before he died. I got to tell Kevin Sullivan he scared the hell out of me. But growing up in Alabama, there's only one other person that's super important, and that's the dirty white boy, Tony Anthony. And if he's going to be there, this is my bucket list. I've been looking for a show for him to be at.
So listen,
Continental Championship Wrestling.
As you hear it in your voice, that's kind of what WrestleCade is. Look, they're not a paid sponsor or anything like that. We legitimately love WrestleCade. Tracy and them put on a spectacular show every year. Like, we literally do look forward to this every single year. And what I love about it is, like I said, not only is it about bringing us all together, but fulfilling like childhood fantasies and dreams or whatever you want to call it. Like, you get to go in and meet people, get autographs and pictures and, you know, all that good stuff from people that were literally pieces of our childhood. That's what makes these things special.
I sat one night in the bar at the Marriott. Well, I wasn't sitting. I was standing next to Robert Gibson watching football on television. I have no idea who was on the television at the time. Well, who was in the game? But Robert was cool as shit. Okay? Of course, it never hurts me with Dave Wilkes because Dave Wilkes knows everybody in the entire world. We got to get him a booth one year and let him sign autographs. Everybody knows Dave.
That would be fun. Get a picture with him or a video with him going, "It's still real to me, damn it." Dave, hey, you always talk about I'm looking for ways to make money. Dave, there we go. Next year we get a booth and we put Dave in there where he's taking pictures and videos and we'll charge people money. Dave, hit me up. We got this. We'll do this. We need to get Tosh involved somehow, but that's a whole different story. So, but anyways, we hope you guys enjoy it. Book your WrestleManias. By the way, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send us your cards. I'd love to see who you would book for Mania because it's not like it's around the corner. You got to not only you got to book the match, but if there's something complicated, you got to tell me how we get there. That's the other big thing. So do not, and I repeat, do not DM them and do not send them, email it, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Greatly appreciate that, man. We hope you enjoyed it this week. Listen, we're out on the road.
I sure as hell did.
I always sit there and say, look, we told you. Look, I'm blunt. I went on vacation. I'm literally pulling back into the house as this episode is probably airing. So therefore, that's why we recorded ahead for you guys. We wanted to make sure you had something. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled program, but I do want to remind everybody, we're going to try to shoot some videos from our phones from WrestleCade and post those on YouTube and over on that other place, wink, wink, that we can upload videos to for the people that are behind the paywall. So, but we'll be back with our regularly scheduled programming next week. And I'd like to talk Tom picture. There you go.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, WrestleCade, there's a package. Tony Anthony and Tom Pritchard. There you go.
Wow.
Anyway.
I'm so excited. I'm like a little kid again. This is why I get so excited about this. And this is why I continue to do this podcast, 6 years in, is because it's opened so many doors for me to meet so many awesome people. Thank you. And this is our Thanksgiving show. And I want to tell you what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for every one of our listeners. I'm thankful for all the wrestlers and the promoters who have been nice to us and reached out to us and let us hang around. Thank you. I hope y'all have a wonderful year.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And, hey, that means the holiday season's around the corner. So it's going to be a wild ride here for the next few weeks, especially heading into the end of the year. So, but that's all I've got. You got anything else before we get out of here, Myron?
No, let's get this out of here before I tear up.
All righty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? We'll be back after Thanksgiving with episode 800. So if I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.